Ever wondered how thousands of athletes, officials, and fans from all over the world gather for one spectacular event every 4 years? The Olympics seem magical, but behind that magic is a system of careful planning, complex rules, and global teamwork. Let's break down exactly how the Olympics work. To understand the Olympics, we must first look at their rich history. The origins of the Olympic Games date back to ancient Greece in 776 BC, where they were held in Olympia to honor Zeus. These early games were modest compared to today's standards, featuring only foot races. Fast forward to 1896, when French educator Pierre de Coubertin revived the Games in Athens, sparking the modern Olympic era. This revival transformed the Olympics from a local event into a global phenomenon, showcasing athletes from around the world. The Olympics are a global event that requires careful coordination. At the top of this system is the International Olympic Committee, IOC. The IOC is responsible for overseeing the Games and making key decisions about where the Olympics will take place. They ensure the rules are followed and that the event runs smoothly. The IOC also decides which sports will be part of the Games and works to keep the spirit of the Olympics alive. Each country involved in the Olympics has its own National Olympic Committee, NOC. The NOCs help their athletes qualify for the Games and make sure they have the right resources to compete. They also organize national trials and send teams to the event. The NOCs work closely with the IOC to ensure their athletes meet the necessary standards to participate. Then comes the Organizing Committee. This team takes on the huge task of preparing the city for the Games. They handle everything from building new stadiums to planning transportation. They must also ensure the safety of athletes, officials, and visitors. The Organizing Committee works with the IOC to make sure the event meets the standards set for the Olympics. The process of choosing a host city for the Olympics is a highly competitive and complex one. It all begins with cities submitting detailed proposals to the International Olympic Committee, IOC. These proposals include plans for new sports venues, infrastructure improvements, transportation networks, and security measures. Cities also create campaigns to convince IOC members that they can deliver a successful and memorable Games. It's a big deal, one that can impact the city for decades. When evaluating the bids, the IOC looks at several factors. Infrastructure is a top priority. Cities must show they can handle the influx of athletes, officials, and tourists. They also need to demonstrate they have the facilities and accommodations to meet the high demands of the event. Security is another major concern, as the Olympics attract large crowds and sensitive political situations. Finally, the IOC evaluates the legacy potential. The committee wants to ensure the Games will leave a positive long-term impact on the city, whether through improved infrastructure or increased tourism. The final decision is made through a vote by IOC members. The host city is selected based on which proposal best meets all the criteria. Once a host city is selected, athletes must qualify to compete in their respective sports. But this is no easy task. Athletes don't just get an invitation, they must prove their worth through intense competition. For most sports, this means qualification events and trials held around the world. These events can take place over several years, with athletes fighting for a limited number of spots. For example, track and field athletes often compete in national trials, while swimmers may need to meet time standards at international meets. Each sport has its own set of rules for qualification, and these are set by international sports federations. These federations establish minimum standards for performance, which athletes must meet or exceed to earn a spot. In some cases, countries can send athletes who haven't qualified by meeting these standards through wildcard entries. These spots are given to athletes from nations with limited representation in the Games, allowing them to compete even if they haven't met the qualifications. After years of preparation, the moment finally arrives, the opening ceremony. This is when the Olympic Games officially begin, and it's a spectacle like no other. The ceremony is filled with symbolism and tradition. One of the most iconic elements is the Parade of Nations. Athletes from every country march into the stadium, proudly waving their flags. It's a powerful image of unity as nations big and small come together to celebrate the spirit of international competition. The Parade of Nations is followed by the lighting of the Olympic flame. The torch, which has traveled across the world from the host country, is carried into the stadium by a special athlete. This athlete then lights the Olympic cauldron, signaling the start of the Games. The flame represents the journey of the Games, the continuity of the Olympic spirit, and the unity of the global community. The Olympic Games feature a wide range of sports, each grouped into categories based on similar characteristics. These groups include track and field, water sports, team sports, and combat sports. For example, all running and jumping events fall under track and field, while swimming, rowing, and diving belong to water sports. This grouping helps organize the schedule and ensure smooth transitions between events. Medal winners are determined based on performance in each event. In some sports, such as track and field, the athlete who crosses the finish line first wins the gold medal. In other cases, winners are determined by the best score, like in gymnastics or diving, where judges award points based on the complexity and execution of a routine. There are significant differences between timed, scored, and judged events. Timed events like swimming and running have clear winners based on the fastest times. Scored events like archery or shooting depend on how accurately athletes hit targets. Judged events such as figure skating or diving require judges to rate the performance based on skill, style, and technique. These different methods of determining the winner can sometimes cause controversy. Controversies often arise in scoring disputes. In 2002, the figure skating competition at the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City was marred by a judging scandal that led to a gold medal being shared by two athletes. Similarly, doping scandals have affected many Olympic Games, with athletes being stripped of medals after testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. These issues show that while the Olympics celebrate fair competition, challenges to fairness still exist. Behind the excitement of Olympic competition, a massive logistical operation ensures the Games run smoothly. Athlete accommodations are a key part of this. The Olympic Village is where athletes from all over the world stay during the Games. It's a self-contained community with everything athletes need, from dining halls to medical facilities. The village is designed to be comfortable, but also to foster a sense of unity among athletes. Security is another critical aspect of the logistics. With thousands of athletes, officials, and visitors from across the globe, maintaining safety is a top priority. High-tech surveillance, extensive background checks, and armed forces are put in place to ensure everyone is secure. The event also has to be prepared for emergencies, with plans in place for medical response and evacuation. Broadcasting the Olympics is an operation on an even larger scale. The Games are watched by billions around the world, so there are hundreds of cameras capturing the action from every angle. The production team works around the clock to ensure live coverage reaches viewers in real time. Time zone differences, weather conditions, and technology all play a role in making sure the Games are broadcasted flawlessly. This behind-the-scenes work is just as important as the events themselves, ensuring that the Olympic experience is accessible to people across the globe. Beyond athlete accommodation, security, and broadcasting, there are several other behind-the-scenes operations that keep the Olympics running smoothly, many of which people don't see. One of the most crucial tasks is managing the transportation system. With thousands of athletes, coaches, officials, and spectators, getting everyone where they need to be is a massive undertaking. Special buses, trains, and even dedicated lanes are set up to ensure smooth movement around the city. Transporting athletes to and from venues, ensuring timely arrivals, and managing crowd control are all carefully planned in advance. Behind the scenes, there's also the intricate management of food services. Feeding the thousands of athletes, coaches, and officials requires vast kitchens and a well-organized food supply chain. Special dietary needs are taken into account, and meals are prepared in massive quantities. It's not just about feeding people, it's about providing quality nutrition to keep athletes performing at their best. One often overlooked task is the management of waste and environmental sustainability. With such a large event, waste management becomes an enormous challenge. Organizers work hard to keep the Games as eco-friendly as possible, managing everything from recycling programs to energy-efficient buildings, ensuring that the Olympics leave a minimal environmental footprint. These operations happen quietly, but they're essential to the success of the Games. As the Olympic Games come to an end, the closing ceremony offers a final chance to celebrate the achievements of athletes from around the world. The ceremony often begins with a symbolic passing of the torch to the next host city, marking the transition of responsibility for the next Games. During the closing ceremony, athletes are celebrated for their hard work and dedication. Parades of athletes who marched as individual countries during the opening ceremony now walk together in unity, regardless of their nationality, showcasing the true spirit of the Games. Now that you know how the Olympics operate, what part fascinates you most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more insights like this one.